Hey Pisces, how are you doing? We're looking at Uranus moving from Taurus, where it's been for a number of years, like 7, 8 years, and it's now moving into the next sign, which is Gemini. And by doing that, and somebody's astrological chart or birth chart, it means that it's also moving to a different kind of realm of your chart, a different area that governs different things. And so for you, the area where Uranus has been has to do with your community. And you've had a lot of disruption to the community. Like if you think of yourself 8, 9 years ago, 8, 9, even 10 years ago, anywhere from 7 to 10 years ago, kind of in that range is when things would have been changing. And they continue to change, but you would have noticed it maybe 8, 9 years ago and more intensely. There's been disruption, possibly intentional, possibly not, to your established community you had before that, changing your neighborhood, like even where you lived. So it could be like the physical community and the virtual community and just the people with whom you're interacting on a daily basis changed a lot over the last, again, 7, 8 years. Um, and continue to be, I'm going to use the word disrupted, but that doesn't necessarily mean negative. It just means there were changes over and over again. And so most of you will not have been living in the same house, same community during that whole time. If you did, you may have had, so maybe you're living in the same community, but there were changes in your friendships, family relationships, and these are like extended family changes with your siblings, changes with your cousins, in-laws to some degree, but more like not the parents, but more like sister-in-law, brother-in-law, but changes like that in the extended family. So one thing about Taurus and you and Taurus and where it is, and again, this is that area of community, the people you're talking with, chatting with, people you see every day, the buildings you see every day. The thing about you is in this particular area of life, you prefer to be really comfortable and cozy. You want the community you want, and you want it to be peaceful and stable feeling and comfortable. And this is like your cozy spot. This is where you are kind of wanting to wrap yourself metaphorically in a warm blanket of community. So the community needs to suit your needs very precisely. And the idea that it would have been changing over and over again and having disruptions, with people coming and going, maybe not living in the same place, isn't awesome for your nervous system. So it may be a relief that it leaves that area, and maybe there's something about your community that can kind of settle in. You can feel a little more relaxed in this area of community. This has also been an area of communications, and you would have been working a lot on communicating ideas, writing, broadcasting, maybe creating community. Online community comes to mind because this is the area of community. Uranus governs online spaces, the internet. So there may have been this like online kind of community that you were a part of. I mean, that's going to be true for 99.9% of us. So it may seem like, well, I mean, but it may have been more intense in your life, or it may have filled a hole, like filled a need that you had. But you really do prefer to have kind of a smooth sailing feeling in your community spaces and with family. You just are very peace, harmony, love with that. And you would think, well, isn't everybody? And no, they're not. They're not the same way you are. So, but that's your comfort zone. You need your community to be your comfort zone, even your online community. You also may have been learning a lot about electronics, technology over the last 7, 8 years. You've been some of you perhaps, really learning about that space, that online space, and almost like developing an education there. The other thing with Uranus there is lots of little short trips and flights, like lots of little short trips and flights. I can't say it any better than that, moving around from place to place, which in some ways might seem fun, but it can get old after a while. And you may prefer a little spaciousness where you're not having to commute as much or something like that. So so that chapter is closed. That planet, Uranus, depending on how old you are, is likely not to come back through here in your lifetime unless you're really young. And probably not at all. But anyway, so now it's gone across this base point. It's the opposite of your midheaven. It's gone across this base point of your chart, which Uranus going like a transpersonal planet that has impact like a planet like Uranus has, going across kind of a sensitive zone in your chart means so many of you will have moved. A lot of you will have moved quite a distance. It's a more radical Uranus, radical feeling move. It's more of a shakeup and a change. The change might feel great, like big kind of great. Maybe it's great too, big and great, but by great, I mean big, a big change. And there's a sense of like maybe mild to not so mild chaos in your home environment right now. I'm thinking about my words here. So it's one thing to note is that by Uranus going into this area of your chart, into an air sign, and Uranus is happy, in this air sign, it resonates with Gemini a little bit more. Uranus is considered a higher vibration of Mercury, which is Gemini's patron planet. And so there's a little more harmony to this energy being in this part of your chart. So any disruption or discomfort you felt about your friends and community and how you could feel that sense of community, any negative bits of that won't necessarily carry into this new zone. So even though Uranus can be disruptive, can create reversals, the unexpected, lots of surprises, moving into your home zone, it's like you naturally, because you carry Gemini here, you naturally have the ability in this area of your home life and family to deal with this kind of vibration. It's probably going to feel more intense than you would like. So maybe what this may translate in terms of real life is, say you move into a house. Maybe there are renovations, or maybe you're building a house. Maybe you're building a house, and that everybody reports back that when you're building a house, it feels a little chaotic, and there's a lot of unexpected surprises. And the price could, you're spending more money, the schedule, it's not being built and completed on time. That's kind of a standard story with building or renovations anyway. You may be experiencing some degree of that, and it's a bit ongoing. And you can siphon off this energy in other ways. You don't have to be renovating your house for 7 to 8 years while Uranus is here, but it may come out in other ways, such as maybe you are still traveling. Maybe you have 2 homes, 2 home bases. Gemini here suggests that you're comfortable with this idea from birth of having 2 homes. And maybe in childhood, you had 2 homes. 2 places to be. And maybe as you grow up, you've got maybe you are always going back and forth between 2 states or 2 countries. There are 2 homes. And with Uranus here, there may be some traveling from home to home. So that could be part of the energy goes there. It could also be that if the people in the household are more independent, unconventional, Living an independent, unconventional lifestyle is actually favored here and actually will help you psychologically. So the more independent, unconventional, being comfortable with your unconventional home life, allowing people freedom to come and go, to be whoever they are, to get what they need, for you to get what you need so that you have the freedom. This will be good for you psychologically. It can also suggest, let's say you're single and you don't have a roommate. This new phase may herald a time when you're taking on roommates, and they will be they may be unconventional. It may be an actual Aquarius person. Sometimes this Uranus placement can signify meeting a pivotal person in your life who's Aquarius. But it could also just mean that unconventional people move into your household and further, like you may already, let's say you already feel you live a slightly unconventional lifestyle and you already feel like you have a fair degree of independence. Something about where you currently think you are with that is going to up level. So if you thought you were unconventional before, it's going to get more unconventional. If you thought you needed freedom before, you're going to need a different kind of freedom or more freedom, as are perhaps other people in your household. So everyone is pretty independent minded. It's kind of an erudite, like you thrive when you're around fast thinking, smart people in the home, and it's going to up level. And yeah, it seems like there's the suggestion of more roommates, more people coming in. And you may think, well, I don't have room for more people or whatever, but it'll work out. There's some reason why this has to happen. There's some reason why your home life is Uranian in this next phase, meaning, there's building, there's renovating, there's organizing in a certain way. People are living independently. There's a lot of like unconventionality going on with everybody. And then there's this Venus aspect. So women or people who are Taurus or Libra, but women are aspected here. It's a feminine environment. So if you're a man, maybe you're moving in, you're a straight man, I should say, you're moving in with somebody feminine, or maybe, somebody who's Libra or Taurus, or just very Venusian in nature. I'm thinking about what else we can say here. This is also a deeply psychological house. So Uranus coming across this sensitive point of your chart will stir up a lot of psychological stuff. So a lot of unexpected stuff from the past may billow up, bubble up out of nowhere. And this may happen like from time to time where whatever's going on in your life, in your home life, or in your life in general, it's just stirring up old stuff maybe you thought was done and that you didn't need to process, but there may be some stirring of the pot there. But it's, if you believe in the wisdom of what the universe is doing, then you would believe that this is what you need right now, that you need this stuff stirred up. You don't need certain things to lay dormant under the surface and buried, because some things that are kind of ignored in your mind can be creating problems you're not even aware of. You can kind of be blind to the problems they're creating. So having stuff stirred up may actually be very healthy. And this may be happening not just with you, but with others in your household, where people's stuff is stirred up. But what's so nice about this transit for everyone is this presence of Venus. So it lends a harmony and balance to this. So it may not be as drastic as it sounds, but I do want to acknowledge that in the world, there's a lot of really wacky and just beyond wacky. Wacky suggests that it's fun, zany. It's not fun, zany in the world right now for many, many people. And the world seems, frankly, like a scary place right now where there's a lot of unpredictability anyway. So for some people, this is very literal, like Uranian energy, like I hate to say it, but bombs dropping and earth shaking and buildings falling, yeah, for some people. And we just have to remember that. I have a global audience and I understand. And you never know where, this could be, we're living in weird, really weird and somewhat scary times, if not very scary times. And so you don't know, you can think this won't impact you, but it may. And I don't mean to scare people. I just want to acknowledge that we're not living in a bubble. If you're doing okay and not immediately impacted by some of the stuff in the world that's a little more scary, we just need to be aware of that and understand that's happening. But I do like the presence of Venus here. It suggests a peacekeeping, harmonious influence. So even, let's say you're listening to me and you actually live somewhere where there's a strong possibility of, war or violence, aggression of some sort. This Venus presence is really nice. And I want you to hang on to that because that is there almost like a little guardian angel. And there are other things in the chart that protect and are there for, they seem hopeful. And I tell it pretty much like it is. I don't sugarcoat. I may steer clear of a topic if I don't want to scare people too much, but I do like this chart, even though there's a lot of disruption, there are lots of changes and surprises. There's a lot of fast evolution happening for people, which means, growth is usually accompanied by challenging circumstances. But I actually, given that all that's happening, I actually like the chart. And there's a lot of hope here and reason to be inspired. So I want you to know that, Pisces. Also for you, I'll just throw in, there is stuff about partnership here. It seems like some of you may have a new love interest or something. And it doesn't happen on the day that Uranus moves. It's just that you're entering an era when there may be, and it has this strong feminine influence. Or it's, it could be a man who has a lot of, like really in touch with his feminine side for whatever, however that is happening. And you're entering a time when you're really in harmony with yourself. So, I mean, your emotions, like who you think you are, who you know yourself to be, you're in harmony and at peace with who you are. And emotionally, you're more settled. So you may, despite disruptions, despite unexpected events, some positive, some negative, you're in harmony with yourself and with others. Certain others, I guess I should say, but there is definitely within yourself, you feel harmony within yourself and you feel grounded within yourself during this next phase, despite this weird disruption and even stuff bubbling up and coming up, psychological stuff coming up, you still somehow are still very much in harmony with yourself and more grounded. So to me, that looks really good. It seems to me like you have the tools to withstand whatever challenges may be coming your way. Okay. All right. Take care.